Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about the Spirit Blade Master, or the third spec. So when the third spec comes to the NA and EU servers, there's no special requirement. You don't need to do some special quest to unlock the third spec, it's just automatically unlocked. As for the skills over here, as well as the talents, I won't go into much detail about them until this spec comes out on the NA server, because there's a lot of things that still might change. I'm currently playing on the Chinese server, and the Blade Master 3rd spec just came out on the Chinese server about a week ago. However, there's still a lot of things that need to be fixed, such as the simple mode is still broken, and there's a couple skill changes here that are not finalized yet, or not the same as the Korean server, which is why I won't really cover them, because there's a few things that seem to be still a little bit broken. As for your talents over here, you want to keep everything as 1. That seems to be the general consensus of what the most optimized DPS build is, so I'm just going to stick everything with 1. As for your skills over here, skill allocation, your bread and butter is going to be these 3 skills. It's going to be this, it's going to be this, and it's going to be this. However, if you have Soul Burn, then obviously you would like the Awakened versions. However, this is going to be much more important. This is your right click when you're in Flock of Blades. So now let's talk about the skills. So Flock of Blades for the 3rd spec is really unique because you can spam it as much as you want. So you can see tab, boom, it looks exactly the same as Flock of Blades, but you can press Z to disappear, I can press tab, open it again, and I can rinse and repeat as many times as I want. There is absolutely no cooldown to open Flock of Blades, and it's instant cast, which is pretty amazing. However, what's better is after you activate Flock of Blades, you can press tab again to go into a burst mode. So you can see here, press tab, and press tab again. And once you're in this stance, this is 8 seconds of burst mode. All of your skills are enhanced. It's basically like a mini 8-second soul burst. However, it does have a very long cooldown. It is a 1-minute cooldown, so you can only do this every minute. However, it is very, very strong. So now let's talk about the defensive abilities for the Blade Master. So you can see over here when I press tab and I press 1, I have these 2 spinning swords next to me. These 2 spinning swords are allowing me to block any yellow attacks passively for 5 seconds. Then there's a 10-second cooldown over here that slowly ticks down, where I am unable to use that passive. However, I can still block attacks normally. Even when in Flock of Blades, I can still block normally. However, the passive block only comes up every 10 seconds because there's 5 seconds active and then 10 seconds cooldown. Other than the auto block over here, I'm also able to use my X, which is a projectile block. So it blocks projectiles for 2 seconds, and I'll be protected by that, which is also pretty cool. Other than that, they've also changed your E and your Q. So your E now is a forward dash. So you no longer have your V skill, which used to dash you forward. Instead, now you just have your E skill. However, to compensate for that, because your E skill used to be blindside, where you get behind the enemy but go into basic stance, what you now have is your Q. You now can use 2 charges of Q. It has a 12-second cooldown. However, the cooldown starts ticking the moment you use the first charge. So you'll see here, once you use the first charge, you have a second charge. However, if you wait here for 12 seconds, you'll notice that this will change symbols. And boom, you'll see that after you waited for 12 seconds, the symbol will change back and you can use it again. However, if you need to use both, you can use it, and then you'll see here that the cooldown starts ticking down. However, what's nice about this is this cooldown goes down by 1 second every time you use your right click, which is one of your main skills that you'll be spamming most of the time. So you'll see here, I'll press tab, I'll use this, and then boom. Once I'm using right click, immediately starts lowering the cooldown, so I can use it again. Here, I'll hit a couple times, use it again. So you can see that I can pretty much spam Q as much as I want in order to get those iframes, in order to position myself pretty well, as long as I continuously to attack the enemy with my right mouse button, which is very, very nice. Other than that, there's just one more small change, and that is your V. Your V now does this big suction thing, which you've probably seen in a lot of videos. It's like that, boom, and it hits the enemy 3 times with this. So it's pretty cool. As well as your 4. So your 4 is exactly the same. When you slash down, it'll hit the enemy 5 times. However, when you use your tab and then press 4, it'll hit the enemy 10 times. So I'll show you the regular one first. You press 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now I'll use the tab variant. Tab 4, boom. You see it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and voila. So it hits 10 times, Probably pretty useful for weapon resets. So the core concept for the Spirit Blade Master is revolving around your tab. Whenever you press tab, you'll notice that you have this little waifu picture in the middle. This is your spirit meter. And when you use certain skills over here, this waifu meter will fill up or decrease depending on what skills you do. So you can see over here, when I use my 4, that filled it up. When I use my V, that fills it up. I use my C, that fills it up. As well as my 3, which is a KD, that also fills it up. My left click uses it. And then my F over here will also fill it up. And the only way to decrease it is by using my regular attacks. So you'll see here, when I just use my right mouse button, it slowly decreases the bar. So you want to manage this resource, because if it fills up all the way, this waifu bar turns red. So I'm going to show you that now. So when you fill this bar, you're going to notice the symbol is going to turn red. So boom. Once it's red, your waifu is mad at you and you're unable to use your spirit skills. So you're unable to use your tab, which basically locks you out to all of your strong skills. And you have to wait for the cooldown timer until it becomes blue again and your waifu's happy again. Only then can you use your tab and use all your cool abilities again. So you really want to manage this and not go over and upset your waifu over here or fill up your spirit gauge. So your rotation here is relatively simple actually. You're going to press tab to go into Flock of Blades, and you're going to press tab again to go into the burst mode. So here we press tab, and you're going to press tab once more to go into burst mode. Then you're going to use your actives. You're going to use your 4, you're going to use a V, you're going to use your X, and then you're going to hold down right mouse button and use left mouse button and F whenever it comes up. Other than that, you're also waiting for your X skills and your 4 and your V to come up. Whenever these come up, you basically want to instantly cast them. And as long as you're in melee range, it's almost impossible to fill up the waifu meter because you're always attacking with your right mouse button, so it's constantly going down no matter how many skills you spam. So now I'm going to show you what it looks like without me explaining anything and without me delaying any of the skills, so you can see the full rotation on what it's supposed to look like when you're attacking the boss. Keep in mind that my stats are very, very low. You can see here that I've got 47% crit chance, I've got 125% accuracy, 226 crit, 20, 20, and 20 over here. As for my gear, it's very, very bad. I've got a, this is pretty much equivalent to an ascending soul, and then I don't have a soul badge, I don't have a mystic badge, and I do not have the right bracelet, do not have anything really. Soul shields are horrible as well. I only have a 3-piece vortex temple, and I've got a 5-piece, like this is really trash soul shields. These aren't even Black Tower soul shields, so yeah, pretty horrible. But we're gonna see now what it looks like. Press tab, tab 2, and let's just go. So you can see on the top left corner that my DPS with this, without optimized gear, I'm basically hitting around 130 burst, so it's pretty decent. And you'll just pay attention to the waifu meter. Whenever my big spells come up, you'll see that it'll charge up relatively fast. However, it goes down really fast as well. You see, once I use my V skill over there, it fills up dramatically. However, it goes down very, very quickly because you attack very fast with this build. So you can see that this is it. It's relatively simple. I have not tried simple mode because simple mode is broken right now at the moment on this patch. It only right clicks and it doesn't do any of your other skills. Another nice thing about being in your tab stance is it does increase the range of your 3. So your 3 over here is a 5-meter knockdown. You can see over here that's a 5-meter knockdown. So you'll notice over here that I'm standing at 16 meters. I use my tab and I'll be able to KD the boss with my 3. You see, voila, KD'd. Other than that, I can also use my left mouse button to hit the boss, my right mouse button to hit the boss, and my F skill to also hit the boss. And these are all ranged attacks. However, at the cost of filling up the waifu gauge over here. I'm able to spam this as much as I want until the waifu gauge fills up. And once this fills up, I will not be able to use any of my spirit abilities or any of the Flock of Blade abilities. So you want to pay attention to this, and if it starts filling up, you do want to get close to the boss and start using your 2 in order to lower down the cooldown or the spirit gauge so that your waifu doesn't get mad at you. And that's really it for the third spec of the Blade Master. It's relatively easy to play, it's nothing too complicated, and I really do enjoy it because it's so fast paced. However, I'm not sure about how this class will deal with in high ping, because in high ping your attacks will be slower and I don't know how that will affect the class. And there's one more skill that I want to talk about other than the passive block that you get that has the 15-second cooldown or the 5-second active plus 10-second cooldown, and that is this skill over here. This skill over here basically says the lower the HP you have, the more lifesteal you get. So at the very beginning, when you're between 100% HP to 30% HP, you have 20% lifesteal when you're just attacking normally. When you're 30% or below, you have a 60% lifesteal. However, when you're 10% or below, you get 180% lifesteal. So when you're on low HP and you just attack like crazy, basically because your right click attacks so fast when you're in a flock of blades, you will lifesteal insanely fast, which gives the 3rd Spec Blade Master a crap ton of sustainability, mainly because you get 180% of that lifesteal, which is just crazy. And yeah, that's basically it for the 3rd Spec Blade Master. I really enjoyed this class. This class is really fun, really strong. However, I don't know how it's going to be on high ping, mainly because this class does attack extremely quickly. However, I am playing on low ping on the Chinese server, so we'll have to see how it translates onto the NA server where I have high ping. But basically, this class is really fun. I will most likely be switching over to the Spirit Blade Master, basically because it does a lot more damage and is much easier to play in my opinion. But yeah, if you found this video helpful, I would appreciate a subscribe as it really does help on my channel. If you have any questions, do let me know in the comment section below. I'll try my best to answer them. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
What can I say except GOL?